Joining us next to discuss this now is Rex Lee, cybersecurity advisor at MySmartPrivacy. He has advised major corporations and government agencies on matters of cybersecurity and tech espionage by the Chinese regime. So, Rex, thank you for joining us, as always. Can I just get your general thoughts based on what you heard Secretary Rubio just said?
Well, there seems to be this debate that there's been different narratives. We think they have nuclear weapons. We think they don't. Israel was going to attack them, so we needed to attack them beforehand. With that being said, I have no idea what intel they have, and they have no obligation to share that with the public at all. But, I'm just kind of curious that, did they have a nuclear weapon that they could launch a nuclear attack immediately within the next 2 weeks to warrant us preempting them? I don't know. I don't have an answer to that question. The one thing that concerns me about the whole thing is that there didn't seem to be a lot of planning to get all of the U.S. citizens and all of the other foreigners evacuated before an attack at this level. And now you have hundreds of thousands, if not over 1 million people, including Europeans and Americans and foreigners all over the world, that are trapped in the middle in the crossfire with no place to go. They can't go to the consulates or the embassies because they're under attack. So you have a large populace that have been caught in the middle of this. And I don't know if that was, I would think that unless it was imminent that they had a nuclear bomb and they were going to set it off, I would think there should have been more planning to have evacuated everybody out of the war zone before they launched these attacks.
Well, Rubio said in that press conference that this past weekend gave the administration the highest chance, highest probability of success in this operation. But the actual question I wanted to ask you to talk to you about today is that the Financial Times reports that Israel hacked into Tehran's traffic camera network in order to determine the whereabouts of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei and then other top Iranian officials as well before carrying out this assassination. So your thoughts on this reported cyber operation? Anything you can tell us?
Yeah, it's probably based on the same technology that Palantir is using. It's a platform that's attached to any connected product, whether it's a cellular phone, computer, connected product, the camera, security system, environmental system, anything supported by Android, iOS, and Microsoft Windows is connected to what's called an ad tech global platform for advertising. This is the platform that can send a targeted advertising message to you anywhere in the world, whether you're at home, on your bike, in your car. Now, for consumerism, that's a great feature because the ad can find you anywhere else. For use for military is that you can gain access to the camera, the microphone, and the accelerometer for audio, video, and physical surveillance. So they were able to gain control of these cameras because probably they are supported by software that is supported by Android, iOS, or Windows. And they were able to get into these cameras. And because of all of the facial recognition, a lot of people don't know this, but for well over 10 years, maybe 15 years since Android, iOS, and Windows operating systems hit the market, these tech companies were already making what are called identifiable digital DNA profiles of each user. So all of your data rolls up into there, including your biometric data. So in this platform, for instance, when you're talking about tennis shoes or food and you want to, and suddenly you start getting those ads, that's what's happening here. Your identifiable DNA profile pops up, the subject matter pops up, the algorithm sends it out to advertisers. It's the same thing with these cameras. If that camera is looking at somebody in a car, like somebody, one of the mullahs or the leadership in Iran, and they're a target, that camera can then use that digital DNA profile on that person, because I'm sure during that period of time, they've used a tablet, a PC, or a smartphone supported by Android, iOS, and Windows that their digital DNA profiles are in there, and they would know exactly who these people are and where they're going. Over time, you can watch them go to and from work, and through predictive analytics, they can actually predict when they're going to be somewhere or where they're not. Now, because they use biometric information, they've been collecting your voice prints. So if I don't have my camera with me or my device with me, and I'm walking down the street, and one of those street lights sees me, again, through that digital DNA identifiable profile, they can recognize my face. If they don't have a clear view of my face, and I go into a bar and there's a Android TV in there, and I start talking to somebody, then they can recognize my voice print. So you don't even need your device or a location tracker on there. I'll give you one other example. A message went out to everybody in the region, American citizens, as well as the military, the politicians, the ambassadors, all the government employees, to turn their location services off due to this tracking technology, because China and Russia are in those cores. Their apps like TikTok, Tencent's WeChat, Baidu, Wild Berries from Russia, Google distributes all those, and they make advertising money off of that. So they too can weaponize this technology and track people the same way that Palantir's tracking people. And oh, by the way, you can be tracked by multiple digital signals aside from the GPS. So turning off your GPS alone isn't going to protect you. It's like the targeted ad. You turn it off and you still get the same ads recording your conversations, because you can be tracked by Wi-Fi access points, near field communication tags, cellular triangulation, Bluetooth. They can track you multiple ways. They don't need you hooked up to the satellite to track you anymore.
Okay, so does that, I mean, just speaking from the U.S.'s perspective then, the U.S. has a lot of adversaries, right? So could China use these technologies to hack into the U.S. surveillance systems?
You know, everybody keeps thinking we're at war with Iran. We're not. We're in a proxy war with China and Russia. You know, you wonder why we decapitated the leadership and nobody's there. Nobody's in charge. Yes, there are people in charge. I haven't heard a single analyst ask this question. How many Russian and Chinese military advisors have been and always are in Iran coordinating these attacks? I don't think these attacks are just coming from Iran. I don't think they're coming from the Republican Guard only. They have military advisors in country from these other countries. They always have. That's been noted. They're a proxy nation to China and Russia.
Okay, so what gives the U.S. superiority in this area, in technology and surveillance, compared to other countries?
You know, the field of play has been leveled due to our relationships, our tech relationships with these Chinese app developers. In the United States today, we have a law called the Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversarial Controlled Applications, which was upheld by the Supreme Court last year, banning Chinese and Russian apps from our phones and our computers. Yet today, they are not enforcing that law because of relationships with companies like ByteDance, Tencent, Baidu. They're making, if not hundreds of billions, trillions in targeted advertising. So the Trump administration kept telling us, well, we're not going to enforce that law until we cut a deal to own TikTok in the United States with Oracle. Well, we've done that, and they're still not enforcing the law. And oh, guess what? ByteDance still owns 19% of the new TikTok USDA JV partnership with Oracle. They own 19%, and they own 100% of the algorithm that was identified as a national security threat. And ByteDance puts that in all of their other apps and platforms, including their social media platform, Lemonade, that Google, Apple, and Microsoft continue to distribute here in the United States. So this idea that we're in an AI arms race with China is false to me, because we're still sharing our AI IP for their AI embedded apps and chatbots, DeepSeek AI, Alibaba Quinn, and everything else. We're still distributing that. That is absolutely during a time of war with a proxy nation to China and Russia, a national security threat that needs to be addressed by our government.
Okay, those are great points, Rex. I just have one more question here. China's surveillance state is, I would say, I mean, maybe you don't agree with this, maybe you do. It's more superior than the US's, or that there's more cameras in China monitoring its citizens. So if that is the case, Rex, could the US did what Israel did to Iran, that if the situation arises, could the US use China's surveillance state against it?
No, they can't, actually, because of China's civil military fusion program. However, I would disagree with you that the average American has 2 or 3 hot cameras around them all day between their tablet PC, their smart TV, their computer, their car, when they go to work, using their PCs at work. We have smart street lights now with cameras on them. We're surrounded by as many cameras, but the surveillance architecture that's used in China was actually built by AI IP from these United States tech companies. They just simply cloned what these tech companies did with our smartphones, tablet PCs, and connected products regarding targeted advertising and surveillance and data mining business practices and technologies that are embedded in our phones. It's an exact replica built on our own IP, and U.S. companies made billions, if not trillions of dollars in profits as long as they're doing business in China, and allowing the U.S. government is allowing these same tech companies to distribute Chinese surveillance and data mining apps, AI-infused products, chatbots all over the world, including Russia's as well. So this needs to be addressed by the United States of America, our government, immediately. And I just wrote a report based on threats posed by civil military fusion programs that I submitted to the NSA, DHS, S&T, the FCC, and other agencies that had asked me to author this report. And I've already sent it to the government. As a matter of fact, I've been doing that all day. I've been going back and forth with people from these agencies all day.
It's a scary world, Rex, but thank you for speaking with us. I could ask you next time, this is a topic for next time, but how do we protect ourselves, right? Great speaking with you today, Rex. Thanks again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.